Namaste and welcome to Vinyasa Flow Yoga. My name is Chua, and for this practice, you'll want to have 2 blocks and a strap. Let's start in any comfortable seated position. You may like to place a couple of blocks on their lowest height, side by side, to sit on top of. If you're sitting cross-legged, you can allow more comfort if your hips feel at all tight and the knees are lifting away from the ground so that you can drop the knees open more easily and sit up tall. Take a moment to settle in physically and mentally. Here is a simple poem by Craig Crippen called Everyone You Meet. Everyone you meet, everyone has faced challenges, lessons, storms, tough situations, and difficult experiences. Everyone you meet has cried, has hurt, has felt fear, has grown, and has loved. Everyone you meet is learning, fighting, battling, living their truth, and working with the tools that have at this stage in their evolution. Everyone you meet is a piece of the whole, an expression of the universe, a part of your journey, and a reflection of you. Everyone you meet has love in their heart. Everyone you meet is your teacher. The spiritual teacher, Ram Dass, who transitioned maybe a few years ago, would often remind us that everything that is in your life, that has been in your life, is a tool for your spiritual evolution. It really makes a difference how we look at things. Even the things that we might consider at the time so-called negative. What am I learning from this? Also, Dalai Lama once said, if you want people to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. And compassion includes being in touch with other people's feelings, really seeing them from the heart level, not just the mind level, and wanting to contribute to their well-being or to their relief from suffering. I'm going to invite you at the end of our physical yoga today to practice Metta meditation with me, in which we will be cultivating compassion for ourselves and for other beings around us. Let's prepare the heart, the mind, the body for this practice by seeing what we're carrying within ourselves, especially in this physical instrument of connection, this physical vessel, what we're carrying in our energies, our minds and emotions, so that we can bring a wholeheartedness into this wishing of well-being to ourselves and others at the end. So let's begin to assess what your body is feeling right now. When I say assess, we're not judging anything as good or bad. We're simply just being aware of the sensations at the bottom, like your pelvis, your feet, your legs. Being aware of your torso and anything you're feeling there. Being aware of your hands, arms, shoulders. Sensing your neck and all through your skull, the muscles in your face. How is your body speaking to you through sensations right now? This is all a continuation of exploring the first limb of yoga practice, ahimsa, doing no harm, practicing kindness. Start to notice the breath, just feeling its waves without doing anything about it, but observing. Tuning into the quality of energy you have right now. Notice your mind. How are you feeling mentally? And your heart, how are you feeling emotionally? Allowing it to be just as it is as you're starting your practice. Welcome a deeper breath into your nose, filling up your torso. Out to your mouth, maybe releasing an audible sigh. Inhaling, maybe a little deeper. Emptying it all out. Full breath in. Exhaling any last bit of air from the lungs. Let's begin a practice of gratitude. Take a moment to acknowledge anything you appreciate right now. Then set your sankalpa, which is your intention for this practice. To whom would you like to dedicate this practice today as a way of sending them loving kindness? And together, let's chant the sacred sound of Om to create resonance 3 times. Invite you into practicing Ujjayi Pranayama with me, victorious breathing, a way of breathing that helps to calm your nervous system while focusing your mind and balancing your energy. It's done by closing your lips, just breathing through the nose, softly constricting the back of your throat so that you can hear a gentle, sustained whispering sound to the breath. As you listen to that sound, invite the in-breath to be just as slow as the out-breath, creating a gentle, steady rhythm that will soon move our bodies to in Vinyasa flow. So listen to that breathing and let's come down onto all fours. Spread the fingers flat at the front of your mat, stack your shoulders on top of your wrists, and step your knees a couple of inches behind your hips. Inhale, glide your chest forward into cow pose, rolling the shoulders back and down. Tuck the toes behind you. Exhale, firm in the belly, lift your hips back into downward facing dog. Let's keep moving like that. Inhale, lower your knees, draw your chest forward into cow pose, looking up. Exhale, pull in the belly and lift the hips back to downward facing dog. Try that another 3 cycles of breath. Inhale, knees down, cow pose. Exhale, hips up and back, downward dog. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, downward facing. And then set your knees down and let's give the shoulders a stretch, which will be our theme today, bringing the shoulders into flexion, more heart opening. So set your blocks on their medium height, the second level, across the front of your mat so they're touching each other. Straighten your arms forward with your palms face down and spin your outer upper arms towards the ground so the triceps rotating downward helps to spread your shoulder blades across your upper back. Now deep press your shoulder blades onto your back ribs. Keep doing those two actions and place your bent elbows exactly your shoulders distance apart onto the blocks. Press your fingertips into each other and step your knees back a couple of inches behind your hips. With deep breaths, begin to trace your thumbs down the midline of your skull. As far back as your thumbs will trace, maybe even to your neck or between the shoulder blades. Let your neck relax as you drop the head. But as you open the chest, lift your belly in towards your spine and draw your sitting bones back. Keep rotating the triceps towards the earth. Keep sliding the shoulder blades back for about 4 more deep breaths here with your shoulders both in flexion. Now engage the abdomen and slowly rise up. And let's come back to downward facing dog. This time holding still in downward dog for a few deep breaths. Spread your thumbs flat towards each other. Stretch the index fingers forward. Tuck your toes, lift your hips back. See that your feet are hips distance apart, parallel. And then spin your outer upper arms towards the floor, just like we did with elbows on blocks, and draw your shoulder blades back onto the back ribs. Relax your neck, completely drop your head, and set your gaze, your drishti, on one spot, looking towards your feet, pressing your chest towards your shins, engaging the belly in towards your spine. As you press the front tops of your thigh bones back, sink your heels deeper and deeper towards the ground. Let's tune into another 3 slow breaths, all through the nose. When you've emptied the next exhalation, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat into a standing forward fold. Bend your knees and catch hold of opposite elbows, gently swaying your spine side to side while you might shake and nod your head. Shift your weight forward, relax the neck, and lift your shoulders up away from your ears. Plant your fingertips either on your shins, blocks, or the ground. Inhale, stretch your spine forward into half forward fold, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Press down through your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms forward. Slowly rise with the arms overhead, rolling the shoulders back and down in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, trace your thumbs from your crown to your heart center in mountain pose. Take a moment to remind yourself of your intention for today's practice. Moving with the energy of compassion, loving kindness, as we offer gratitude to the sun. Let's start our first series of sun salutations. Si. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, draw your shoulder heads back and look up. Exhale, bow forward from your hips. Plant your fingertips down on the ground. Inhale, step your left knee behind you to a kneeling lunge and gaze up. Hold your breath and step to plank pose. Exhale as you lower your knees, then your chest, then your chin in Ashtangasana. Inhale, slide forward onto your belly. Draw your shoulders back in cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes and lift your hips back in downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb and lower your right knee, gazing up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Inhale, press down to your feet and slowly rise. Take your time to feel the breath. Exhale, connect your palms in prayer, your heart center. Second side of Surya Namaskar C. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow forward in Uttanasana. Plant your fingertips on the earth. Inhale, step your right knee back in Anjaneyasana. Hold your breath as you step to plank pose. Exhale to Ashtangasana, lowering knees, chest, then chin. Inhale into Cobra pose, Bhujangasana, drawing your shoulder heads back. Exhale into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb and lower your left knee, gazing up. Exhale, step your left foot forward and bow. Root down to your soles. Inhale, rise. Lifting your heart towards the sun. Exhale, marry your palms in prayer, heart center. Let's move on to sun salutation A. Inhale the arms overhead again, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips, Uttanasana. Press your hands on your blocks or the floor. Inhale, lengthen to Ardha Uttanasana. Step back to plank pose with legs straight or knees on the ground. And this time, as you exhale, shift forward as far as you can. Hug your elbows towards your ribs as you lower through Chaturanga Dandasana. And choose either Cobra or upward facing dog as you breathe in. Exhale to downward facing dog. Cultivate stillness as you steady your gaze for 2 deep breaths. When you've emptied the second exhalation, walk or lightly jump to the top of your mat into a forward fold. Inhale, half forward fold, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Rooting down, inhale, rise, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands together in Padasana. Let's practice that again. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen to Ardha Uttanasana. Either step to plank or lightly jump to Chaturanga Dandasana. Keep going through your Vinyasa, Cobra or upward dog. And back to downward facing for 2 deep breaths. Then walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Padasana, hands in prayer at the heart. Let's move on to sun salutation B. Please bring your feet together so the inner edges of your big toes touch. Empty this breath. Inhale, bend your knees together to touch. Lean back towards your heels and raise your arms in chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, shift your weight forward and hinge from your hips, Uttanasana. Press with your hands, inhale, lengthen forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Step to plank or float lightly to Chaturanga Dandasana. Take it through your Vinyasa. When you arrive in downward facing dog, inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhale, gently step the foot beside your right thumb and spin your left heel down. Inhale, rise to stand in Warrior One. Ride your exhalation down to Chaturanga and finish your Vinyasa. Follow your pace of breath. Back in downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your left leg behind you. Exhale the foot gently beside your left thumb. Spin your right heel down. Inhale, rise to Virabhadrasana 1. Ride your exhalation down into your vinyasa. Knowing that you need to listen to your body, you can take cat-cow if you need to conserve energy. You could skip the vinyasa, practicing the way that is in harmony with what you're working with. When you get to downward dog, let's pause for 3 or so breaths, slowing down the inhale to match the exhale. Practicing kindness to your body, kindness to your mind. Bring the energy of loving kindness as we bend the knees, empty the breath, then walk or jump lightly to the top of your mat. Feet together, inhale, half forward fold. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees together, inhale, chair pose. Exhale to rise up. And let's practice Surya Namaskar B one last time. Same sequence. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half forward fold. Step back or float back. Take it through your version of your vinyasa. When you arrive in downward dog, inhale, raise your right leg back. Exhale the foot beside your right thumb. Spin the left heel down. Inhale, rise to warrior 1. Exhale, lower to your vinyasa. Without rushing at your pace of breath from downward dog, inhale, raise your left leg back. Exhale the foot beside your left thumb. Spin the right heel down. Inhale, rise, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower into your vinyasa. Downward dog. Give it a few deep breaths to restabilize, recalibrate to the feeling tone of your intention for this practice. With slow, steady breaths. When you're ready, empty the breath. Then walk or lightly jump to the top of your mat. Inhale to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Bend your knees. Inhale, chair pose. Keep your knees bent. Bend your elbows apart like a cactus shape and cross the right elbow over the left. Hook your thumbs or wrap the forearms and palms and draw your shoulder blades down the back. Now, as you firm in the belly, steady your gaze just ahead, steady your breathing. Shift your weight onto your right foot, and as you flex your left foot, turn out your left leg at the hip and wrap the left leg over the right as much as you can, sitting a little lower. Some of you might tuck the toes behind the calf, some of you might not. Try to stack your elbows and your knees down the midline of your body. And let's tune into a few more breaths here in eagle pose, Garudasana. Now, as we move towards warrior 3, you might keep the arms in eagle pose or join your hands in prayer at your heart or reach for 2 blocks on the ground to support your balance. Start to unravel your left leg, flexing the foot. Press the instep back towards the rear wall as you lengthen your torso towards your front wall, creating a horizontal line through the midline of your body. Turn your left outer hip to face the ground and tack your right outer hip back. Let's tune in to a few more breaths in Virabhadrasana 3. Step your left foot back 2/3 as far as you did in Warrior One. Back heel to the floor and release the arms. We're going to bring the arms into cow face pose, so you might find it useful to grab a strap. Have your feet about your hips width apart, so both soles of your feet are entirely on the ground, legs are straight, and both hips are equally facing forward, and it doesn't feel like you're trying to balance on a tightrope. You feel stable on both legs. Now raise your left hand and dangle the strap behind your back. With the help of your right hand, spin your left outer upper arm forward and bring the elbow behind your head. Press your shoulders down and seal the bottom of your front ribs in. Reach the right hand behind you underneath and catch the bottom end of the strap. Walk your hands as close together as you can. Try to point your left elbow up towards the ceiling. Some of you might reach hold of your fingers, clasping the hands. Lift the chin slightly away from your chest and breathe in, roll your shoulders back. As you exhale, begin to hinge forward from the hips, breath by breath, drawing your right outer hip slightly back as you keep stretching your chest forward. In pyramid pose, with your arms in cow face pose. So that's Parsvattanasana, with your arms in Gomukhasana. Start to lower the left hand on the inner side of your right foot, either on a block or the floor. With your right thumb, hook the crease of your right outer hip back and press firmly through your feet as you inhale, lengthen your spine forward about parallel to the ground. Keep your pelvis still, and as you exhale, begin to twist to the right, turning your rib cage without turning your hips. Then raise your right arm to the sky. Press to your feet, keep lengthening forward through your spine. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. If your balance feels pretty stable and you want to deepen the twist, place the left hand on the right side of your front foot. Twisting triangle pose, Parita Trikonasana. One more deep breath here. Look at your right foot. Lower your fingertips about a foot ahead of it, whether on blocks or the floor. Inhale, lift your chest forward. Exhale, shift forward into standing splits. Like Warrior Three, keep your hips equally facing the floor. As you lift the left leg, bow towards your right leg. If you practice kicking up to handstand in the middle of the room, you're welcome to play with that a few times. Another way you can play with your balance is to walk your hands closer to your right foot. Maybe hold the calf. Tune into a few more deep breaths, whatever you're deciding to play with. Eventually step your left foot hips distance from your right foot in a forward fold. Inhale, half forward fold, lengthen your chest forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms forward and rise to Urdhva Hastasana with a gentle back bend. Exhale, trace your palms in prayer to your heart center. Maybe close the eyes. Allow a few deep breaths to tune in. Notice the energy with which you're moving your body and practicing asanas. Come back to the feeling of your intention and the feeling tone of compassion, of loving kindness. Allowing it to color your practice. Let's bring the feet together to touch. Steady the breath, steady your gaze on the forehead. Bend your knees together in chair pose and bend your elbows apart like a cactus shape. Cross your left elbow over the right and hook your thumbs or wrap your forearms and palms. Slide the shoulders down, lift the elbows to the height of the shoulders and firm in the belly. How's your breath? Shifting your weight onto your left foot, flex your right foot and turn out your right thigh at the hip. Wrap your right leg as much as you can over the left. Some of you might tuck the toes. Draw the right hip back. Stack your elbows and knees down the midline of your body. Maybe sit a little lower to help you balance. Let's tune into a few more deep breaths in Garudasana, eagle pose. Now keep your arms in eagle or join your hands in prayer or reach for 2 blocks as we move into warrior 3. Lift the right foot, flex, press it back as you stretch the torso forward, creating a horizontal line. Turn both hips to face the ground and tune into the breath. Virabhadrasana 3. Eventually step your right foot 2/3 as far back as you did in warrior 1. Spinning the back heel down, release your arms, and maybe grab a strap for cow face arms. Have your feet wide enough sideways where both hips can equally face forward and you feel balanced. You're not trying to balance on a tightrope. Hold the strap in your right hand, raise your right arm, and dangle the tail behind you. With your left hand, spin your right tricep forward and bring the right elbow behind your head, pressing the shoulders down. Seal in the bottom of your front ribs. Reach the left hand behind you and underneath, catch the bottom end of the strap. Then walk your hands as close together as you can. Try to keep your right elbow pointing up rather than pointing to the right. Lift your chin away from the chest and breathe in. Draw your shoulders back. Breathe out, start to hinge forward from the hips. Take it slowly, breath by breath. Slightly draw your left outer hip back. Pyramid pose with your arms in cow face pose. Parsvattanasana with your arms in Gomukhasana. Lower your right hand on the right side of your front foot, whether on a block or the floor. Draw your left outer hip back with your left thumb and firm down to your feet as you inhale to stretch your spine down the midline of your mat. Keep your hips still and exhale at your waistline. Begin twisting to your left. Raise your left arm up. Breath by breath, explore the range of the spinal twist called twisting triangle pose or Parita Trikonasana. If you want to go further and your balance feels steady, walk the right hand to the left side of your left foot. One more deep breath. Now look at the ground ahead of your left toes. Plant your fingertips on blocks of the floor, a foot ahead of your left toes. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, standing splits. Lift the right leg from the inseam as you flex the right foot. So again, you might play with kicking up towards handstand. You might play with walking your hands closer to your standing foot, maybe holding the calf. Try to keep your hips leveled, however high the right leg lifts. Relax your neck. This time, step the right foot all the way back and step into hands and knees, all fours. Sink your hips towards your feet, feet together touching, child's pose. Let's pause for a few deep breaths. Sense the way your body feels in this moment. Now, if you have a usual headstand practice of Shirshasana and you're free of any neck issues, you're welcome to practice that as your inversion for 10 or more breaths. Then we'll meet in child's pose. Otherwise, I invite you to join me in dolphin pose, where we'll continue to bring the shoulders into flexion. So for dolphin pose, sitting upright, extend your arms forward like when we were preparing to place our elbows on the blocks in the beginning. Spin your triceps down, draw the shoulder blades down the back. Then bend your elbows and interlace your fingers. Place your elbows on the floor, your shoulders width apart, not any wider. Press down firmly to your outer wrists, forearms, and elbows, and draw your shoulders back. Keep creating space in your neck. How's your breath? Now in dolphin, we're not going to put any weight on our heads. Our weight is going to be on our forearms and feet. The forearms actively pushing the ground away. Tuck your toes, deep breath, pull in the belly, and exhale, lift your hips, press your thighs back. You're in it. 5 to 10 breaths, your count. If possible, walk your feet forward closer to your elbows, but keep pressing your chest back towards your shins. Have your shoulders slightly behind your elbows rather than coming forward. You could also play with stepping the feet together to touch if that's available. You might raise a leg like you did in standing splits, keeping the hips squared, a few breaths with one leg up, a few breaths with the opposite leg up. When you feel like you're done, let's meet resting in Balasana again, child's pose. When you enter child's pose, you might want to rest the arms down by your shins, maybe turning your head to one side to stretch the neck, and then to the other side to switch. Feel your breath in as slow as your breath out. Ujjayi pranayama. Plant your hands on the floor alongside your knees and inhale, roll your spine slowly upright. Let's have a seat on the center of your mat with your feet in front of you, entering our final back bends. Step your feet apart and take a block by the skinniest width. Hug it firmly between your knees and thighs. Separate your feet as wide apart as your knees. Make sure that your feet remain parallel to each other. Extend your arms forward with the palms face up and sit tall, relax the shoulders down. Then take your time, several deep breaths to very slowly lower onto your back. Here we're waking up all kinds of core muscles that support our spine. When your head eventually meets the ground, release the arms down by your sides and walk your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not quite. Now, ground the backs of your shoulders and raise your arms towards the sky. Palms facing each other. Let's do the same thing we did to the triceps when you were putting your elbows on blocks. Spin the triceps towards the front of your room. Draw the shoulder blades down your back. Now bend your elbows. Keep your elbows no wider apart than your shoulders distance. Flex your hands at the wrists and either plant your fingertips like spider hands alongside your ears, slightly turning out the fingers so the elbows don't splay wider than shoulders width, or plant your palms flat so the heels of the palms are on the floor outside the ears. You can still turn out the fingertips here. Now keep your arms like this. Make sure the elbows don't splay wider apart than shoulders width so that your shoulders stay stable. And with an inhale, lift your hips and just come into bridge pose with your arms in this version. Staying for 5 or so deep breaths before you slowly lower. Tilt the chin slightly back to open the throat. Actively stretch your tailbone towards the block as you hug the block. Press down evenly through the inner and outer edges of your feet. When you're ready to, use an exhalation to slowly lower your upper back, middle back, tailbone last. When you've lowered your pelvis, release your arms and flip the backs of your hands into your armpits like you're making chicken wings. Hug your elbows down to your rib cage and stretch your outer wrists. Maybe even shake your head no a few times to stretch your neck. Breathe in, breathe out. All right, let's take it a step further if your body is willing. Flip your palms to face down alongside the ears again. Hug the elbows close to each other, no wider than shoulders distance. Draw the shoulder blades down your back and inhale, lift your hips. Stay here, or if you can still squeeze the block, bring the top of your head to the floor and pause. Maybe walk the hands a little further apart. If your lower back feels okay with it, press off the floor with hands and feet and keep stretching your tailbone towards the block. Keep pressing down evenly through the four corners of each foot. Breathe. This is upward facing bow, Urdhva Dhanurasana. When you decide you're done, lower in reverse. Top of the head to the floor, then tuck the chin towards your chest, then slowly lower one vertebra at a time. And this time you might circle your hands at your wrists, stretching your wrists for a few deep breaths. Notice how your body is responding to how you practice that pose. What's it asking for, and how might you practice compassion with your body and self? All right, last back bend is your choice. Bridge pose the traditional way with arms under the upper back, supported bridge pose, or upward facing bow with or without the block. Take your last back bend for up to 10 deep breaths, your count. When you've lowered from your last back bend, let's meet with the knees dropped open and the soles of your feet touching in supine bound angle pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. If your knees are uncomfortably lifting away from the ground, place a block under each outer knee or thigh for support. As you arrive there, you might close your eyes and rest one hand at your heart center, one hand just below your belly button to feel your breath. Let's move into another calming breath work called resonant breathing, a mindfulness technique to calm the nervous system by inhaling through the nose for 6 counts and exhaling through the nose for 6 counts. Prepare to start by inhaling fully and sighing it out if you like. Clear it out. Then close the lips. Inhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 6, counting in your head. Exhale 6. Try a couple more cycles on your own. Then you might return to Ujjayi Pranayama, that gentle whispering sound. Bring your hands to your outer thighs, and like you're closing a book, draw your knees together. Wrap your right leg over the left leg, and let's prepare for a supine spinal twist. Slide your hips towards the right edge of your mat, about 3 to 5 more inches, and open your arm wide, right arm wide on the floor. Ground your right shoulder, maybe gaze past it to stretch your neck, and now lift your feet. Slowly drop your knees to your left side, only as far as your right shoulder can stay on the ground. Send your right outer hip to tilt forward slightly towards the front edge of your mat. Come back to center and switch. Left leg wrapping over right. Slide your hips closer to the left edge of your mat. Open your left arm wide. Ground your left shoulder and maybe gaze past it. Then lift your feet and gently drop your knees to your right side while keeping your left shoulder on the ground. Draw your left outer hip forward to tilt slightly towards the front edge of your mat. A few more deep breaths. Then roll onto your back and let's splay the knees apart, either in happy baby pose, catching your outer feet, or straddling the legs in supine Upavishta Konasana, maybe clasping your big toes. Now in either posture, I invite you to ground your tailbone, shoulders, and head to help lengthen your spine. Draw your knees together again and rock forward to sit, bringing your legs straight in front of you with your feet hips width apart, flexed. Stretch the arms up and lengthen your spine, but relax your shoulders. Breathe in. Exhale, start to hinge forward from your hips, breath by breath in Paschimottanasana. You're welcome to use a strap around the balls of your feet. Try to keep your chest slightly lifted and your shoulders relaxing back. Press down to your sitting bones and lead with your chest. Inhale to slowly rise. Stretch your legs apart, wider than hips distance, and shake out your feet, shake out your legs. Let's lower on down to our backs for a few minutes of corpse pose, Shavasana. You might turn the palms to face up, down by your sides, resting your shoulders on the earth. Close your eyes and consciously let go of doing anything. Let go of controlling your breath and allow yourself to be fully present here in this stillness. Rest here a little bit longer, but I invite you to mentally scan your physical body again, like we did in the start. How does your body feel now? Be gentle with yourself and start to move small parts of your body first, like wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes. Ease into a gentle stretch. Maybe keep your eyes closed to help tune inward. Take your time turning over onto your right side and resting your head. Pause here and observe your breathing. As you lie on your side, notice how you're feeling energetically. Then slowly begin to lift your body upright. It's important that we take our time to transition from lying down to sitting up, really caring for the quality of inner space you've created through your practice. Please find a comfortable seat for meditation. You might stack your right palm face up on top of your left palm, face up, with your thumb tips touching. A mudra for cultivating presence and connecting inward. Maybe close your eyes. Start by feeling your breathing, just letting it be. This meditation is called Metta, loving kindness, and it stems from a Buddhist practice of extending compassion to ourselves and others. I invite you to take a moment to ask your heart what it needs right now. Heart, what do you need right now? Then choose some words of loving kindness that feel authentic to you, to wish yourself something to help recognize that need. For example, I might say to myself, may I feel free of anxiety. May I feel relaxed in my body. May I feel loved. Take a moment to give yourself loving kindness through your chosen words. Remembering that we are all very much like each other in that we all want to feel happy. We all want to feel safe and loved. Call to mind someone you care about and imagine them sitting in front of you. As you look into their eyes, I invite you to tell them the same words of loving kindness that you wished for yourself. May you feel happy. May you feel. Try it in your own words. Notice how you're feeling right now. I invite you now to think of someone that you feel neutral about. Maybe you don't know them very well. You might not even know their name, but you see them in your neighborhood walking their dogs. You might sometimes say hello. Or maybe it's someone you pass by in the hallways at work or see at the grocery store. Choose someone and imagine them sitting in front of you now. Look into their eyes and recognize that just like you, they want to be happy. Just like you, they want to feel safe and loved. I invite you to use the same words of loving kindness that you gave to yourself to tell them now? Feel the sincerity of your wish for them. And now imagine somebody who has recently challenged you. Maybe you had some kind of conflict with them, or you felt jealousy towards them. See that being sitting right in front of you now. And once again, remember that just like you, they want to feel loved. Just like you, they want to be happy and free. From a genuine place in your heart, I invite you now to offer them your words of kindness. Notice how you feel. Notice how your mind and heart feel. And as the Dalai Lama said, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. I invite you now to call to mind something you'd like to offer gratitude to or for. Remind yourself of your intention for today's practice. Remember to whom you dedicated this practice. Together, let's join our voices to close, chanting Om 3 times, sensing the resonance that you are both giving and receiving. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.